As our recent efforts on the Clean Water Act demonstrate, our industry needs a cohesive voice on the issues that affect our way of life. One veteran cattleman says greater involvement in state and national organizations help give us a more unified approach. Cattleman to Cattleman's Brad Bulla has more from North Dakota.
It's always been an important part of our life, living where we do with our Canadian neighbors to the north. We have a lot of friends and relatives.
Gabe Thompson's family has lived in Antler, North Dakota, right next to the U.S. border with Canada, for over a century.
We're primarily a commercial cow-calf operation. We run Angus, Slayer, and Maine and Jew cross cattle in a situation where we'll background our calves most years, almost every year, and on occasion we have been involved in retaining ownership and finishing cattle as well. Third generation farmer rancher. Grandparents came over from Norway back at the turn of the century, and we've built a grain and cattle operation, and we're carrying on in that tradition.
And in northern North Dakota, that tradition is going through some dramatic changes.
This is primarily farming country. If you are involved in the cattle industry up in this neck of the woods, it's because you really want to be. And that's one of the unique challenges we face as well in being able to find ground that is available to run cattle on as opposed to farming anymore. And we're on the eastern edge of the oil industry really booming, and there are a lot of instances here in North Dakota. We see it where the oil comes into play, and the livelihood that has been dependent upon from making cattle is no longer necessary, and unfortunately we're seeing that in cattle numbers dropping and producers exiting out of our industry.
But Gabe says being a cattleman has always meant rising to meet challenges.
A lot of them have remained the same year after year, generation after generation. One of the typical ones that we see more of now are the regulatory aspects that are coming down, and whether that is from government entities or private animal rights type of entities, the regulatory nature of the constraints that we're going to see coming at us is probably one of the largest issues that we'll be facing.
Gabe's been director of the North Dakota Stockmen's Association for the past 7 years.
It's been an incredibly rewarding experience for me. We have an exceptional group of people, cattlemen that step up and volunteer their time and energy into directing our industry here in the state, and it will go down as probably one of the most satisfying and interesting things that we've done here in our life.
The experience has also strengthened his belief that cattlemen need to join state and national organizations, including NCBA.
Our voice is slowly but surely being diminished. With each generation, we become farther and farther removed from society, and we need to be able to tell our story. And we need to be able to tell our story in a proactive way that many people can pick up on and understand. NCBA takes our local and state voices and expands them to a broad basis nationally, and brings everything together to give us the ability to go to that higher level of telling our story outside of who we know around locally. The NCBA has been a long-standing organization whose commitment to the livestock industry is really hard to argue.
Gabe says social media has opened up the industry to a whole new world of consumers, allowing cattlemen to tell their story directly to the public, making a significant impact on how the market looks at beef. He's also amazed at how other new technologies are advancing the industry.
My father grew up harnessing horses in the lantern light as a child, and a couple summers ago we had a laser etching machine in our calving barn, scratching the zona of embryos prior to being transferred into a cow. And the changes that his generation have witnessed in agriculture is almost mind-boggling.
Gabe is very attached to his community. Hundreds of friends from both sides of the U.S.-Canada border gather annually in his town for Antler Outlaws events that Gabe helps to organize, including a local ranch rodeo, trail ride, and steak cookout.
Throughout my life, the people that I've met in the cattle industry have been some of the most true, genuine people that I've ever met. It seems just to be the nature of your involvement in this industry. And I guess we farm as well as ranch, but our true calling and enjoyment does come from the cattle side.
Reporting from Antler, North Dakota, I'm Brad Bullitt for NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen.
Gabe Thompson is a member of NCBA. Please join him and the thousands just like him by calling 1-866-USA-BEEF or visiting us online at beefusa.org.